What's up everyone? Welcome back to a new Hermes Agent tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how you can use Codex and Hermes Agent to do an SEO audit. And it's not just a normal SEO audit. What Hermes has now with the recent update is the ability to organize things into projects and folders. So instead of messy chats all over the place, it's going to be organized into folders that you can actually view and access in your project. And also down the right hand side, you'll see Boba. This is also one of their new pets that they introduced. You can have a little pet in Hermes Agent too now. So let's get into it. And so first I want to actually switch into Codex. And I'm going to use max strength on this one, and fast and thinking. You can select them on right there. I have a couple session resets with Codex, so I'm just going to use max. I don't think you really need max for this, and honestly, you could use DeepSeek V4 Pro. That would work well with this. You can use Quen Plus or Max. I think honestly a Flash or Turbo, like GLM5 Turbo would work well for this too, or GLM 5.2. So there are a number of models you can use with this, but I'm going to do it with Codex because I have all the session resets, so why not? So just quickly, here's what we'll go through if you want to browse through with a timestamp. So I'm going to show you how to do an SEO audit and take like those messy responses and put it into an organized folder with projects. With Hermes, it can access your desktop folders and project folders, so it's a little bit different than just using ChatGPT or Claude. This will keep it more organized, and you'll get an actual workspace. With the recent updates, you'll see how Hermes now has, it's for coding, but I've come up with a way where I can actually use it for marketing, and there's no coding involved here. We're just using the concepts of how their coding system works. But don't worry, you don't need any coding for this. And also, this is what the project folder will look like. And then I'll also show you how Hermes will help us narrow down all of that research, because when AI does audits or anything, you get big reams of data, and it's honestly a little hard to go through sometimes and make any sense of it. So you still want all the data, but you want it organized in a way where you can actually comprehend it and understand it. And also, after that, show you how to create a backup in this in Obsidian, and also how you can create your own folder within the same project and work off of the other project folders you have if you want to do like your own research or just build out research based on what AI gives you, which I highly recommend because AI is just going to give you what AI gives you. It's good to be a human in the loop. So here is the project folder I came up with. This is the structure. This is important to do before you get started. Take 5-10 minutes just to plan it out, because having this organized will give all of that research a place to go. And then instead of writing out a long prompt, you could just give this image to Hermes and it'll know how to plan the research out for you. That's also a good reason why I use Codex, because Codex has image analysis, so it'll be able to look at this. It'll then look at the folder. It'll create the folders for us in the main folder, and then it'll know where to put all of that research. So, I'm taking some time, 2 minutes before I do this, because this is an important part of it. Otherwise, you're just going to get data and stuff all over the place. This will help you stay organized. Do it before, not after. Trust me. Okay, so one of the new updates with Hermes is that you can now, we're not updating right now, so you can use a folder. And it looks exactly like a normal chat, but what it allows you to do, and here's like a stock project I've been working on, but you'll see in the sidebar, I can now access all the files in it, and I can have separate chats in here. So as you know, your left-hand sidebar always gets filled up with all these chats. You don't know where what is what. You can pin some stuff, and you can, kind of try and stay organized by naming stuff, but it's tough. But the cool thing is that once you have these here, you can open these up and look at it and have a chat. Now again, this is really for coding, but I'm using it for marketing because I think it has some features where marketing really applies. So let's just create the general folder first, and then we will start building this out. So on my desktop, I'm going to create, I'm going to use my website. So we're going to call it Jason Pollak Marketing SEO Audit. Now this is an important first step. You want to do that. Create your project folder wherever you want. Your desktop is perfectly fine. You can move it later if you want to. But I would recommend creating it in a place that you're going to keep it, so you don't have to worry about Hermes trying to find it later. Like, it's going to know where it creates it. It's going to know where it is. And actually, now that I think of it, I have a dedicated Hermes projects folder. So I'm going to put it in here. This is where I work on all my Hermes projects. It's just going to sit right here. So also a poker game I worked on. You gotta have a poker game. So anyway, so now that we have the folder, what we're going to do is create a new project. And this is where you'll add that folder we just created. So we're going to call it Jason Pollak Marketing SEO Audit. And I have to work on my website anyway, so kind of glad I'm doing this. Then we click Add Folder. We go to the Hermes Projects folder, and then we'll see the Jason Pollak Marketing SEO Audit folder I created. So we're going to click that to open it. So now we're working in that folder. You can add other folders if you want. Now the idea. MD is going to tell Hermes what you want this project to be about. Now for us it's the SEO audit, but I'm going to give it much clearer directions than that. And I already prepared this, and this is part of your preparation. I'll walk you through it. Let me pull it up. Okay, so now here is the idea MD that I created. I took some time beforehand to build this out, and it's worth it to do it because it's going to save you a lot of hassle. So I'll just walk you through it, and then you can really write this down yourself, screenshot it as I go along, and you can use it yourself too. Obviously put in your own website or whatever you're working on. Again, I'm just using mine as an example. So the demo site for this video will be jasonpollakmarketing.com. I'm going to use Hermes Agent and Codex, like I said. Basically, these are just instructions. So I'm going to audit the website, preserve the raw research, back it up to Obsidian, everything that I've explained so far, but this is what's now going into that project folder. That's important. So then we're going to do some audits. We're going to crawl the website. We're going to have a folder for SEO findings, schema and AEO findings, keyword research, do some competitor research, why not? And also just a raw source log. And again, you don't need to know coding. Hermes will create Python scripts for you. What it does, it uses a Python library called Beautiful Soup, and that allows it to actually crawl the HTML websites and do all this for you. So yeah, you might have to install a few things, but Hermes installs it for you. It'll just kind of tell you what you need to install if you don't have it installed already. So that's also one of the benefits of doing this in Hermes as opposed to like another chat or LLM platform, whatever. Because Hermes has access to your machine, it can install things for you. It'll tell you if it can or can't do something. It can write scripts that will pull data into folders, which is what we'll do. So this is what that script will do. And it's going to crawl the home page. It's going to check my robots text, my sitemaps, title tags. It's going to do an automated SEO audit on my website. Then it can look at some competitors. We can get it to look at some keyword volume. We can then create, and then the planning workspace. This is the next step after the initial audit. And I'm taking time to go through this because planning this out will allow you to do this in literally one shot, and then you could kind of go from there and put your own eyes on it. But then it's going to take all that raw data after it does it and put it in a planning environment, so a planning folder. So it's going to have the source map, top 10 keywords, top 10 pages, and you can have top 20. You can do whatever you want. Priority findings, and these are the rules for the planning folder. So again, this is like one massive agentic loop, workflow, whatever you want to call it. And this is what I'm feeding into the project before I even do it. So it already knows. It's going to have, once I tell it to start the audit, it's going to have the instructions built in. So we can just take this and copy paste it in. And again, you could take screenshots of this and use it yourself. We're going to go back into here. We're going to put it in the idea section, and then we're going to create this folder. So now I have Jason Pollak marketing. As you can see, there's nothing in here now, but besides the idea, MD. And look at that. It's already in the folder. This is exactly what I gave it. And what's very cool about how this works is now I can have this open, and you'll see how this is useful once we do the audit. And I can have a chat in my project folder while looking at the stuff in my actual folder. That's really nice because it's not just a chat in a folder, it's a chat in a folder that's looking at a folder. It's a little kind of like Inception, it's a folder within a folder, but it's different than, like, if you're on ChatGPT and you're working in a project folder, you can have chats, you can upload content, but you can't really see what you're working on in your project folder. And you'll see how this is useful, and I can edit it, I can do everything I want. You know, don't worry about the numbers, that's just coding and lines. Again, this is really for coding development, but I'm just kind of using it in a way that will work for marketing. So anyway, that's a cool feature, and you'll see how this is useful just in a moment. So now that we have our folder created, this is the chat session area. So what we're going to do is, let's start this off with a prompt. We're going to say, okay, follow the idea MD. We first need to create the folder structure. See attached screenshot. And this is why planning out ahead of time makes your life a little easier. So I'm going to drop my screenshot of my folder structure that I showed you before. Don't start the audit yet, just create the project folders. So we're going to now have it look at the screenshot, and Codex has image analysis. So it can look at the image and then essentially copy and paste it into our actual. And you can see in the thinking, it's just it's acknowledging, I don't want you to do the audit yet, I just want you to create the folders. That's why I do that, because sometimes what Hermes does, it's very powerful and it'll just go. So we don't want to just go yet. We want to make sure our folder structure is correct first. Now it'll probably be fine if it did, but anyway, this is now doing its little thinking. Let it figure it out. Just give it a moment. And there we go. We have our folder structure. And again, this is why working in project folders is very nice. And it didn't start the audit yet, like I said. Very good. Thank you, Hermes. Let's give Boba a little pet. Hi, Boba. And if you want to actually have your own pet, you go into appearance, and their pets are here. If you want to do a pet, you can even have it walk around. If you want, you can roam. Let him walk around too. There he goes. He's active. Boba's getting active. All right. So, so as you can see, it has everything that I wanted it to. It's going to have, there goes Boba. He's going for a little walk. So we have our sources, raw sources, competitors, keywords, crawl. This is exactly the structure I gave it. And that's why having that, and Hermes created that structure for me beforehand. And so you can copy this and just put it in your own folder too. Or you can create your own project structure. Really your call. So now that we have our folder structure correct, we can do the audit. So, excuse me, Boba, let's go into here and go, okay, let's begin the audit now using our SEO skill to crawl Jason Pollak marketing.com. And my SEO skill is essentially what I've described to you before. It's all of these things built into the skill. So it already knows what to do. But if you don't have something like that built out yet, you can just tell it, I want an SEO audit. Look at my HTML on my website. I want to look up keywords, competitors, and then crawl my website. So, and you can tell it what to look for. Anyway, so we're going to let it go there, and it should do its thing from here. So while it's running the audit, I figured I'd pull up the SEO audit skill a little more in depth so you can see what's going on behind the scenes. So what the audit does is that it's going to audit websites for SEO and AEO compliance, verify pre-written SEO reports against live site data, and identify optimization gaps. It's going to do the SEO audit of the website, like I said, verify the AEO. It's going to confirm the target URL. It's going to use web extract for homepage, robots, text, sitemap. That's a tool it has. If bot protect, it's going to switch to browser tools. It's going to look at schema. It's going to use curl and grep commands. It's going to use browser console if it has to. It's going to check JSON blocks. Basically, what you would do if you would audit a website yourself. And then it could use, you can send this out to, you can assign this to like Kanban tasks. If you want to, have essentially an agent do each part of this individually. You could launch agents here too. Hermes kind of takes care of it anyway, and it's going to come up with like that walk forward strategy for you, like what to do now, next week, and so on. And then look at local SEO, and then look at some keyword volume. There are some tools you can use, like some APIs you can use. Okay, we are back after a couple minutes, like 5 or 6 minutes. It has completed its research. It's crawled 45 URLs, 125 sitemap URLs discovered. It's probably mostly from my blog. Robots text, LLMs text, sitemap, JSON schema, title tags. Did some competitor SERPs and searching with CRX and G. So that's another tool I have installed. It's free. It's open source. I highly recommend it. Keyword candidates, and it created the research. All right there. Cool. So, and then also created a little backup in Obsidian. Just so we have a recap of what happened there, and then it's just giving us a quick recap here. So what's very cool now, like I was saying about how we can essentially now use this as our like project planning tool. So let's open a new chat, and now we have our folders here. These are all the folders. It's going to match what's in the folder on the desktop. So we can open up the crawl, we can see that, and we can just double click. And now we have the full site inventory from my website right here. And so now we can analyze, we can ask questions against it. Maybe we wanted to look at a certain page specifically. So it's very convenient to be able to, I think, to go through your project folder, have a chat open, and be able to actually look at the research you did at the same time. I think that's really great. And, it's a little, the titles are a little long, so it's going to, it's not perfect formatting, but, you can kind of ignore that and look at the actual data here. So we can look at the audit, the AEO findings, found everything here. So, basically it just organized everything for us into these folders. So it's easy to look at. And now that we have questions, so I don't know, based on the findings in the schema and AEO findings folder, what are some recommendations to improve. And so, yeah, while you're looking in the folder, you can ask questions. It's going to go look at the folder that you're looking at too. Here's some technical findings. This is probably more so, yeah, it's going to be probably what you want to look at as well, because it's going to give you the nitty gritty of things. Like, you know, you want to make sure that ChatGPT can crawl your website, especially if you're trying to be found. If you're not, you don't want it. So it's good to know that. And you can see it reading through everything in the folder too. And now look, everything is organized in this chat. Very easy to actually stay organized with your chats now. So anyway, it's going through that. It has, we have keywords here. So yeah, didn't find that. Didn't find consultant. So yeah, you know, there are some things here that, you know, you can build out if you want. And here, like I'm saying, so now you can have a chat doing the research for you, just giving us suggestions like, this is what we're going to now do in the next part for the planning phase, and where we could, you know, optimize further. Here's some pages it's recommending I build and why. So now that we kind of looked at what our initial research was, we can now start putting this together into that project planning phase, where it now begins to make a little bit more sense. As you know, it's just, this is one of the reasons why Codex sometimes, you know, why you want to start narrowing things down, because Codex, you know, ChatGPT kind of goes to town a little bit. It's too much information to take in. Like this is a lot. It would take some time to go through it. So if you just want like a clear like mental map of like, hey, what do I need to do? Like, you know, just give me it quickly. You can ask it, you know, okay, but you know, it's going to give you a really long response. So, and you can also have multiple pages open, so you can close them, and also something cool, so you can have that open. You can have multiple things open. So yeah, also let's and actually just to show you Obsidian quickly. This is Obsidian, so it has a backup of everything here, but it's just like a recap. So what I wanted to do is create a new session before we move on to planning. Create a backup of our research and create and recreate the folders and files in Obsidian in the project folder we have already. So I want it, you know, in case like you lose your project folder on your machine, whatever, I want it backed up in Obsidian. So let's have it do that first, and then we'll move on to the planning section. So now we also have it in Obsidian, and it just put everything that we already did into Obsidian. So it just creates a backup, and I like to have it here too, if you want to look at it that way, instead of like in Hermes or a folder. You know, it just gives you, you know, a little bit of different way to look at it. So nice to have, but as you can see, the folders already have everything anyway. You know, it's a lot to look at. So yeah. Anyway, let's move back into Hermes and now get the planning portion figured out. We are in the wrong window. Here we go. Let's begin the planning phase and put our findings into the planning folders. So this will take all that data now and begin organizing it into our planning section. And so that way, like the whole ream and mess of data now becomes a little bit more organized and structured, and makes it a little bit easier to look at. And if you are a little bit curious as to how the search was done, I just wanted to quickly show you. So it's a custom Hermes Python script backed by CRXNG, which is an open source search tool you can install for the SERP research. So yeah, it's literally free to do, and that's why Codex is a great tool model to use. If you have the subscription already, using Hermes is free, CRXNG is free, and downloading Python is free, and then Hermes can write you that audit script for free. So, nothing beyond, you don't have to worry about token usage. Codex is, if you're paying for a ChatGPT subscription, you have it. So you can use it in here at no extra cost. Okay, so we're now back. Took another few minutes to do the planning section for us. Now we have some itemized items that we can actually go through. We can pull them open here. And again, we can keep our chat open. We can close the sidebar. And now you can also what you can do in Hermes, you can switch it. So if you want your chat on the right, project folder on the left, you can do that. So yeah, now it's just telling us to, here are the top 10 pages to work on, just kind of giving us some ideas here, some top 10 keywords to work on, why it matters, just things like that. It has a source map. So yeah, basically it's just giving us a more scoped approach to actually give us a plan that we can feasibly work on, because the initial raw research is still here, but it was just a lot. So this is just a good process to go through to actually, I think, have something that's digestible and it's easy to scan through. And again, you can open multiple files up at the same time, and you can close this, you can have your chat again. Anyway, so it didn't create the final deliverables yet, so let's do that next. Okay, let's create the 30, 60, 90 plan and final deliverables. Actually, let's do max for this. Let's give it all the thinking ability it can get. Let's go max. Let's max it out. Let's give it the prompt again. So yeah, now we'll let it work. And again, your project folder is always right here. And I think that's really cool, because now you're not just, it's not like a normal LLM platform where you have a project folder and chats. You can actually look at your actual folder. And then all of your sessions are here too. So you want to go back to one of your chat sessions, you can have numerous chat sessions here. Again, this is like for coding, but I'm just kind of taking the concepts of coding and applying it to marketing. You don't have to worry. Again, there's nothing here you have to do that's coding. It's just I think a cool way to actually organize your research and keep your chats organized in a way that you can actually go through. You don't have to worry about anything with branching, but branching a chat is actually a cool thing you can do. And what that is, so if you want to branch a chat, and now, so you can essentially keep that chat going. Like this will maintain the main thread, but let's say here you just want to start going over, tell me what URLs were crawled. Boba, just get in the way here. I see you got your boba. It's very cool. Boba, go over here for a moment. So, as you can see, that's not in the main chat. So I think if you're going to, borrow anything that's like coding related, branching a chat is useful, because you can just kind of have like a sidebar conversation without having to start a whole new chat. So I think that's something that's genuinely useful to know. As far as everything else, wouldn't worry about it. It's not stuff you'll need for this. Mainly the point is just to have something that is organized. So anyway, as you can see, it's thinking about our 90-day plan, and then that'll deliver right here. And if we want to back this stuff up to Obsidian too, we certainly can. I like having Obsidian. It's free, and you can kind of just use it as a backup tool. Boba's just happy, just getting excited about this 30, 60, 90 plan. It's exciting stuff, really. So anyway, and it's in Obsidian too, and no, M- is perfect. We don't like M-, just get them out of here. So yeah, so we have our 30, 60, 90 plan. We can see it here. We can close this up. And again, we have our chat. You can now branch this part of it and create, another branch section to ask about, something about your specific plan. Crawl access is strong, current state, page owner, it's kind of giving us the recap. So here are the priorities. So priority, it's saying establish page ownership, create a standalone AEO audit page, essentially what I'm doing now. So it's saying create a page for what you're doing right now. Good point. It's telling me to update some pages, turn blog depth into support structure. So basically just clustering, which is something I've been working on, just, not having so many categories and interlinking posts, cleaning metadata, tighten homepage meta descriptions and tags. It's a little bit long. So 30-day plan, measurement, export, it's telling me to go through some data, like export my GSC pages and queries and things like that, just to combine it with the research that we did here. That will be the next part of any SEO audit. Like, now that we kind of know what's going on with the website, now let's pull some data and see what keywords, from our existing data we can use. And data for SEO, it's a cool platform. It gives you an API you can use for actually keyword planning and volume. Same with the keyword Google Planner. The Google Keyword Planner, it'll give you some volume so you can kind of itemize what and organize what keywords you want to focus on. That's the next part of the SEO audit and skill that I'm not going to do right now, but that would be the next. These are the next steps. Again, the clustering, right, it's just saying, no keyword cluster they shouldn't compete with each other. Essentially, every keyword should own a page, which is good practice. Rewrite some homepage stuff, service pages, schema, blog hub, internal linking. Cool, and then 60-day plan from here. And again, this is all in Obsidian too. So yeah, it's kind of nice to, again, look at this, have a chat, open, look at your project folders. This is just giving us a recap of everything it did so far. All right, we didn't do the GSC performance, obviously. And then we have our Obsidian recap here, which is in Obsidian. And as you can see, again, this is just what Obsidian is. It's essentially our backup and folders with all of our raw data in here. So if we ever want to go back to it, it's here. And that's essentially the audit in a nutshell. And then, how you go about it from there is up to you. I like to then do the keyword volume, things like that. You can get different APIs. You can pull your Google Search Console data, your Google Analytics data. There's a lot of steps you can do. You can plan blog strategies. So yeah, and then obviously it's all in your actual folder here. So you don't have to necessarily always be in Hermes to be looking at it. If you want to pull up your 30, 60, 90 plan and a markdown file, it's all here. So, it just gives you options and makes it easy for you to look at and organize your content and data. And that is how you do a little audit in, about 30, 40 minutes. And it gives you a lot of information. You can narrow it down, come up with a plan, work on your plan from there. I like to put it into Notion after this and have it organized in Notion. This is kind of like the first step to ironing out how am I going to approach this update and strategy going forward. And then Notion, it connects everything with its AI tools, and this is a good workspace. So again, you can use your own, however you want to do it, but that is generally my strategy. I hope you found this helpful, and that concludes this video. Go watch some World Cup or something. Go enjoy the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Happy 250 America. Go USA. And yeah, if you're watching this video after the World Cup, then you already know what happened. Hopefully we win. And but yeah. Anyway, have a happy 4th. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. All right, I'll see you next time.